I never wanted to be mediocre at love. But a few years ago, at the age of 27, I realized that all of my relationships had two things in common. One, they all ended up in a breakup, and two, me. Since I was a little kid, I've always had this goal of one day meeting the woman of my dreams, falling madly in love, and getting married and becoming an amazing husband and father. But I realized that if I was going to have that dream, I needed to figure some things out. First thing I needed to figure out was I needed to figure out what I was doing wrong, and that was the easy part. There was no shortage of people who were willing to help me understand what I was doing wrong in my relationships. The second thing that I needed to figure out is I wanted to figure out what I could do right. I wanted to know what were the things that I could do to really make my relationship incredible. I didn't feel good turning to popular media because I noticed that all of the information there was either the hyper-romanticized fairy tale stories or the super cynical celebrity scandals. And whenever I heard about those things, I was just left feeling empty and void. So I decided to find my own answers. I quit my fancy corporate job, I sold all my stuff, and I packed what was left into my little Mini Cooper, and I started driving around the country hunting couples, not hunting them, but hunting for them, for couples who have amazing relationships, to try and figure out what they were doing differently than everybody else that made their relationship so great. Over the last 3 years, I've talked to hundreds of couples and therapists and authors and experts, and what I've learned in this time has completely blown my mind and changed my life. It redefined everything that I thought was possible in a romantic relationship. For the next 5 minutes, I want to share with you some of the most important things, the important lessons that I've learned from these couples, and my hope is that you can take from at least one of these stories something that will enhance the relationships in your life and hopefully help you create more passionate, lasting love. Before I start, I want to give a quick thank you to my friend Melissa Joy Kong, who helped me find and interview a lot of these couples. The first couple I want to tell you about is Josh and Jenny from Kansas City. They were on a long cross-country road trip as a family with their 3 kids in the back seat when Josh pulled his car over to the side of the road. He looked over at his wife, Jenny, and said, "Jenny, get out of the car." Jenny just looked at Josh and said, "I'm not getting out of the car." And he said, "Jenny, get out of the car." And she said, "Are you kidding? I'm not getting out of the car. It's a torrential downpour out there. I'm not getting out of the car. It's raining." And he said, "Jenny, get out of the car. I want to make out in the rain." The thing I love about Josh and Jenny is they taught me that with a little bit of intentionality and enthusiasm, you can turn even the most boring and mundane moments of life into amazing memories that last a lifetime. Eric and Elisa are from Ogden, Utah, and just like most couples, they sometimes have disagreements. But the thing that I love about Eric and Elisa is that they shared with me their secret weapon for dealing with those particularly difficult disagreements. They fight naked. Yeah. Right? It's a great idea. So now whenever I have an argument, I just take off all my clothes. It works surprisingly well. But all kidding aside, the thing I love about Eric and Elisa is that they taught me that a little bit of creativity and maybe a little bit of nudity can help make the most serious conversations a little bit lighter and more bearable. When I was in the southern part of Georgia, I met Joseph and Ann. Joseph and Ann have been married for over 60 years, and I got to hear some incredible stories about their life together. They told me about their memories and their ups and their downs and the things that they'd overcome together as a couple. And then at the end of our conversation, I looked at Ann, and I said, "Ann, if you could share one piece of love advice with the entire world, what would it be?" And without missing a beat, Ann looked at me and said, "Don't be afraid to be the one who loves the most." That advice blew my mind. We live in a society that says, "He who cares the least has the most power." Well, that advice might work well if you want to score a few dates, but if you want to have a relationship that lasts for decades, it doesn't apply. Here I am sitting at the feet of a couple who's been married for twice as long as I've been alive, and the last thing on either of their minds was, who in this relationship has the most power? So maybe, just maybe, if we could set aside a little bit of the fear and instead worry more about being the person who loves the most in a relationship, we could be the type of people who experience love that most people only dreamed of. And then there's my favorite couple, Ty and Terry. Ty and Terry are from Omaha. Sorry, I love Ty and Terry so much. My one wish for every one of you in this room would be that you could just spend an hour with Ty and Terry just to feel what it's like to be with them. I got to do that, and that conversation changed my life. The love that they had for each other was palpable. And sadly, my wish won't come true because Ty and Terry passed away last month in a tragic car crash. But I want to share with you a little bit of what their love was like so you can just have a taste of it. This is a quote from the conversation that I recorded with them a couple years ago. This is Terry talking about her love for her husband, Ty. And I feel like it's particularly poignant to the situation right now. She said, "At the end of Ty's life, I want him to be able to say, that Terry was the greatest earthly blessing in my life, the best thing that ever happened to me. And I am a better man because of how she loved me. And that is the goal that I live every day. That's how I want to love this man." Can you imagine if we all loved that way? Can you imagine what this world would be like? Ty and Terry knew that the way that they loved each other had a huge influence on who their partner would become. They knew that if they wanted to create the love that they so desperately desired, that it would require a daily investment and a daily effort. Legendary love requires us to look into the life of our partner every day to discern their needs and their wants. It requires us to look inside ourselves every day and ask ourselves the question, who do I need to be the best possible partner? Over the last 3 years, I've interviewed so many people, and the thing that I've really learned is that there are no two relationships that are alike. There's no universal love advice. There's no magic potion. There's no secret recipe. As a matter of fact, there are as many recipes for true love as there are couples who have it. My hope for you today is that you can take at least one of these stories that I've shared with you, and that it can open up the mind of possibility that you don't have to settle for something mediocre, that you can have a relationship that's extraordinary. Epic love exists. It exists, you guys. I've seen it. I've sat at the feet of the couples who have it, and it's so inspiring, and it's so possible, and every person in this room can have it. My invitation to you is to join me on this mission to cure the world of mediocre love. Please, please don't settle. Go out there today and start creating the relationship and the love of your dreams. Thank you.